Welcome back, everybody, for another deep dive.
Yeah.
This time, we're going to be tackling something pretty universal, I think. Personal change and growth.
That's a big one.
Yeah, and ever feel like you're stuck in a rut?
Oh, yeah.
Like you should be further along in life?
All the time.
Yeah, well, you're not alone. And we're going to be analyzing a motivational speech that tackles those feelings head on.
All right. I like it.
No sugarcoating allowed.
Lay it on me.
So what's interesting here is that our source material isn't like your typical self-help book or, an article or something. This is a YouTube speech.
Okay.
It's raw, energetic,
I like it.
and dives right into the heart of the matter.
All right. Let's hear it.
Yeah, the speaker's style is super direct, almost like a blunt but well-meaning friend giving you a pep talk.
Okay.
He starts with this line that seems obvious at first.
Okay.
He says, "Nothing changes if nothing changes." Isn't that profound when you really think about it?
Well, yeah. I mean, on the surface, it seems so simple, right?
Right.
But it's true.
Yeah.
Like, you really have to change something to get a different result.
Exactly.
It's a truth that's easy to overlook, though.
Yeah.
We get comfy in our routines.
Yeah.
Even when they don't serve us anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And we think, oh, I'll change someday. But then someday never comes.
Right.
And this is what the speaker calls the inertia of nothingness.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah.
And, it can lead to some serious regret.
Definitely.
He makes this point, like, people actually regret the things they didn't do
Oh, wow.
more than the mistakes they made while trying.
That's interesting.
Yeah. So it's this powerful thought that, like, playing it safe might feel good now, but it can leave you wondering, what if later on?
Yeah, that what if can really eat at you.
Totally.
The speaker's point really resonates with a lot of psychological research about like the comfort zone.
Okay.
Staying within it feels safe, but true growth really happens when we push ourselves beyond those boundaries. It's uncomfortable, sure, but that's where we really learn and evolve.
Absolutely. So how do we actually break free from this inertia and get the change ball rolling?
Right.
Well, the speech dives into that, and it emphasizes that change isn't some like magical overnight event. It's a process,
Right.
often a slow and messy one.
Yeah, I can relate to that.
He uses this analogy of like moving to a new city or a new job or even a new relationship.
Yeah, think about your own experiences moving.
Oh my gosh.
There's excitement, of course, but there's also a lot of stress.
A ton.
Packing, unpacking, adjusting to a new environment.
Totally. It can be a real pain.
Oh, for sure. But, on the other side of that discomfort, there's usually growth.
Right.
You learn to navigate a new place. You build new connections.
Yeah.
You expand your horizons.
Definitely. I remember when I moved to a new city for a job.
Oh, yeah.
I was thrilled about the opportunity.
Right.
But those first few weeks were rough.
Oh, I bet.
I felt so lost and out of place.
Oh, I bet.
I felt so lost and out of place.
But you got through it.
I did.
And that discomfort, as the speaker puts it, it's the fire of transition.
Ooh, I like that.
That's where we're really tested and where we ultimately grow stronger.
Okay, so now here's where things get really interesting.
Okay.
The speaker encourages us to embrace foolishness.
Foolishness.
And at first that sounds counterintuitive, right?
Yeah, like, why would you want to be foolish?
Exactly. But what he means is being willing to step outside our comfort zones and try new things.
Okay.
Even if we feel silly or inexperienced at first.
I see.
So it's like taking up a new hobby, right?
Right.
You're probably terrible at it in the beginning,
Totally.
but you're not letting that stop you.
You got to start somewhere.
Exactly. There's joy in the learning process, in letting go of the need to be perfect, and that's where the real growth happens.
For sure. What stands out to you about this whole embracing foolishness idea?
Well, I think it's about recognizing that personal growth often requires us to shed our egos and embrace humility. We have to be willing to be bad at something before we can become good at it.
Yeah, and that could be a real challenge.
Especially in a society that often equates worth with achievement.
Oh, yeah, big time.
So, the speaker doesn't shy away from that challenge.
Okay.
He actually lays out a direct question for us.
Okay, what is it?
What's one thing you're doing wrong that you could fix? It's a powerful invitation for self-reflection.
It is.
He's not saying you must fix it right now, but it's about acknowledging areas for improvement without judgment.
That's important.
Yeah. So take a moment to think about that. What's one thing you're doing that, you could do better? Don't judge yourself, just observe.
That's a good point.
And this is where the speaker's personal story comes in.
Okay.
He talks about the loss of his brother.
Oh.
and how that experience forced him to confront the fragility of life and ignited a desire to live a more meaningful life.
That's powerful.
It's a poignant reminder that sometimes the most challenging experiences can be catalysts for profound transformation.
I can see that.
Have you ever experienced a similar shift after going through a difficult time?
Yeah, I have.
Yeah.
Lost setbacks, failures.
Mm-hmm.
These experiences can really shake us out of our complacency
Yeah.
and force us to reevaluate what truly matters.
Right. And from that reevaluation, real change can emerge.
For sure.
So we've identified areas we can improve.
Right.
We've acknowledged the need for change. But how do we actually make those changes?
Yeah, that's the question.
Well, the speaker has some very specific advice on that. He talks about using potential excuses as fuel.
Okay. What do you think he means by that?
Well, I think he's talking about discipline and consistency.
Okay.
It's not about feeling motivated all the time.
Yeah.
It's about doing the work even when you don't feel like it. About pushing through those moments of resistance.
So he's basically saying, take all those reasons you give yourself for not doing something and flip the script.
Exactly.
Use them as motivation to prove yourself wrong.
You got it.
So like, I'm too tired turns into, great, do it tired.
Yeah, or I don't have time.
Becomes,
time.
it's such a powerful mindset shift.
Either
Instead of seeing those excuses as roadblocks, we can use them as fuel to propel us forward.
Exactly. And that ties directly into one of the most memorable moments of the speech.
Okay.
The U-Haul analogy.
Oh yeah, I heard this one.
He says, you never see a U-Haul behind a hearse.
Chilling, but so true.
Isn't it?
Like, it's a stark reminder that we can't take our possessions with us when we go.
Yeah.
What matters is the impact we make, the connections we forge, the lives we touch.
Absolutely. So it's a call to action, to stop putting things off,
Right.
Stop waiting for the perfect time, to start living the life you want to live today.
It all comes back to that core message.
Right.
Nothing changes if nothing changes.
Right.
If we want different results in our lives, we have to be willing to do things differently. We have to embrace the discomfort of change, push beyond our self-imposed limitations,
Right.
and consistently take action even when it's hard.
And he talks about how change can feel like, stepping out of one relationship into another.
Okay.
Or moving to a new neighborhood.
Yeah.
There's a fire of transition, as he calls it.
It's a good analogy.
And it's in that fire that we're forged.
Right.
That we grow and evolve.
And this brings us back to that fascinating idea of not being afraid to be a fool.
Yeah, being willing to look silly, to make mistakes, to be a beginner.
That's where the real learning happens.
Think about it. Every skill you've ever mastered, you were probably pretty terrible at it in the beginning, right?
Oh, absolutely.
You stumbled, you fumbled, you probably looked like a fool.
We've all been there.
But you kept at it, you practiced, you iterated, and eventually you got better.
It's the process.
It is, and that willingness to embrace those awkward beginnings, that's what the speaker's talking about.
It's that humility, that willingness to be a beginner, to not have all the answers, that allows us to truly learn and grow.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So how do we actually put this into practice?
Yeah, good question.
Well, the speaker gives us a powerful tool, self-reflection.
Okay.
He challenges us to ask ourselves, what's one thing I'm doing wrong that I know I could fix? And he emphasizes that the answer might not be what we want to hear, but it's the necessary one.
Right.
It's about facing those uncomfortable truths about ourselves, those areas where we know we could be doing better.
That's tough, but important.
And remember, it's not about beating ourselves up. It's about honest self-reflection.
Right.
So what small change could we make today, right now, that would move us in the right direction?
I like that.
What one action can we take to embrace the foolishness of being a beginner and ignite that fire of transformation?
He then goes on to emphasize the importance of pushing ourselves, of not giving up even when things get tough.
Right.
It's about channeling that resistance, that discomfort, and using it to propel us forward.
He says, there comes a time when all these potential excuses turn into fuel that motivates you to keep going.
Ooh, that's good.
It's about not just acknowledging those areas where we can improve, but actually taking action even when it's hard.
That's where we'll pick up in the next part of this deep dive.
We'll explore how to cultivate that discipline, that consistency that allows us to push past our limits and achieve real, lasting change.
I'm looking forward to it.
So welcome back. We've dug into some pretty interesting ideas so far, right?
Yeah, for sure.
That inertia of nothingness, embracing foolishness.
Right.
Honestly, confronting those things we could be doing better.
It's a lot to think about.
Yeah, but now comes the really important part, actually putting these ideas into action.
Right.
Because, we can talk about change all day long, but if
Yeah.
we don't actually do anything, nothing's going to happen.
Exactly. Action is key.
The speaker talks about how success isn't about, like, coasting through life. It's about pushing ourselves beyond our limits even when we don't feel like it.
I can relate to that.
It's not about waiting for motivation to strike.
Right, because that can be fleeting.
Totally. Motivation comes and goes.
Exactly what we need is discipline.
Okay.
Those daily habits, those consistent actions that support our growth, even when it's hard.
He has this great line. He says, there comes a time when all these potential excuses turn into fuel that motivates you to keep going. So he's saying we can learn to do things even when we don't want to, even when we're tired or discouraged.
Okay.
It's in those moments that the world opens up to us, he says.
So it's like building a muscle.
Yeah.
The more we push ourselves, the stronger we become.
Right.
This is where we build resilience, the mental toughness to achieve our goals.
What are your thoughts on this?
I think he's right. It's not easy, but it's necessary.
What are some of the excuses you use to avoid pushing yourself?
Oh, man, I'm the queen of excuses. I'm too tired. I don't have time. I'll start tomorrow.
Oh, yeah, all the time.
But hearing this speech, it's like a wake-up call. I'm realizing how often I let those excuses dictate my actions.
And what the speaker is suggesting is like turning those excuses on their heads and using them as fuel.
Interesting.
So instead of saying, I'm too tired, it becomes, I can push through this even when I'm tired.
Right. It's about proving those excuses wrong.
Exactly. It's about reclaiming your power and refusing to let those self-imposed limitations hold you back.
You got it.
The speaker is really challenging us to step up, to stop playing small, and to chase after that version of ourselves that we know we could be.
I like that.
He reminds us that we only have one life.
It's true.
We have this incredible gift of being here, this privilege of experiencing all that life has to offer.
We do.
So why waste it on excuses and what-ifs?
He encourages us to stop being scared, to jump on the bandwagon of doing what we truly want to do.
Yeah.
Even if it means going against the grain, even if it means defying expectations.
So it all comes back to that core message. Nothing changes if nothing changes.
Right.
If we want different results in our lives, we have to be willing to do things differently.
We have to embrace the discomfort of change.
Push beyond our self-imposed limitations.
And consistently take action even when it's hard.
He's giving us permission to be bold, to go after what we want, even if it seems impossible.
And he's not talking about grand gestures necessarily.
Yeah.
He's talking about those small daily actions that over time can lead to massive transformation.
This idea really resonates with me.
Me too.
Sometimes I get so overwhelmed by the thought of making big changes that I end up doing nothing at all.
I know exactly what you mean.
But what the speech highlights is the power of those small, consistent actions.
Right.
It could be as simple as committing to a 10-minute walk each day, or reading for 20 minutes before bed, or practicing a new skill for 15 minutes every morning.
Those are great examples.
The key is consistency.
Yeah.
It's about showing up for yourself even when you don't feel like it.
And as you start to see those small wins, those small changes add up.
Yeah.
Your confidence grows.
Yeah.
And you start to believe in your ability to create real change.
It's like that old saying, the journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step.
I love that.
We don't have to have all the answers. We don't have to have it all figured out. We just have to start.
And I think that's a really empowering message.
It is. We have more control over our lives than we often realize.
We might not be able to control everything that happens to us,
Right.
but we can control how we respond, how we choose to grow and learn from those experiences.
Absolutely. And that brings us to the final part of this deep dive, where we'll explore how to turn these powerful ideas into tangible action steps that you can apply in your own life.
Looking forward to it.
Okay, so we're back, and we've explored some really deep ideas about change, right?
Yeah, a lot to unpack.
Now it's time to connect all of this back to you.
Right, make it practical?
Exactly, because we can talk about change all day long, but if we don't take action, nothing actually happens.
It's true. The speaker really challenges us to consider what specific actions we can take that'll actually move us forward.
So it's not about some, massive overhaul of your life.
Right.
It's about identifying those small, consistent actions, those tiny steps that over time can create a ripple effect of positive change.
Absolutely. It's about setting those small goals, maybe even writing them down,
Yeah.
and then holding ourselves accountable.
So give us some examples.
Well, maybe you commit to waking up 15 minutes earlier each day to meditate or exercise.
Right.
Or maybe you dedicate 30 minutes each evening to learning a new language or working on a passion project.
I like that.
It can even be something as simple as making your bed every morning.
Oh, yeah.
That small act of discipline can set the tone for the entire day.
Totally.
What matters is finding those actions that resonate with you.
Right.
Those small steps that align with your values and goals.
So think about that for a second. What's one action you're willing to commit to?
What small change can you make today that will ripple out into positive change in your life?
Because this is where that sense of personal agency comes in. We have the power to choose our actions to shape our destinies.
And remember, change isn't always linear.
Right.
There will be setbacks.
Oh, for sure.
There will be moments of doubt, but that's all part of the process.
It's about learning from those setbacks, adjusting our approach,
Yeah.
and recommitting to our goals.
Exactly. The speaker reminds us that we have the power within us to create the life we want.
So don't underestimate yourself.
Don't let fear hold you back.
Go out there and make it happen.
Take that first step.
Embrace the foolishness of being a beginner.
And remember, nothing changes if nothing changes.
Thanks for joining us for this deep dive.
Yeah, this is a good one.
We hope you walk away feeling inspired and empowered to create real lasting change in your own life.
We'll see you next time.